Okay, good day, everybody. It's great to see you all. You're all probably wondering why we're having a video being put out when we've been on WhatsApp. And the reality of having this good-looking couple sitting with me here is that we wanted to speak to you a little bit about, give you some information of what's going and what's happening. And unfortunately, we can't do this by standing in front of each other and being in a church meeting, but we've all learned some resilience over this time and to kind of hold out. But it's just important that we update and inform people about where we're at and what's happening. And so we're going to just give you some information. We're going to hear from some stories from Roxanne and Martyn now about the positioning of stuff that's happening in their life. And the joy is when we do it this way, it's always good news, the way things play out. This is not, something that we're not trying to make public and hide away. This is the joy of what it is within the church environment when we're advancing the kingdom. And so the reality is, Martyn and Roxanne have been with us at the Bay for about 2.5 years now. And they've been in ministry for sure, probably 10, 15 years, eh?
Yeah, about 15. Yeah.
About 15 years, okay. And I met Martyn, sure, probably 10 years ago, I think, around about there. I don't know if it was that long ago, maybe not that long ago, but I remember speaking on the phone to you a number of years back. And we've become good friends over the years because I think there's similar hearts on what God's doing. And, we're in a position now where Martyn and Roxy have been with us at the Bay for 2.5 years, but there's a call that's come up for their lives, to go and join and to partner with another community. And the joy is that we're doing this in a way where it's honoring and the kingdom is advancing. And, we're just getting it out there, the message straight away of what this is all about, and explain to people a little bit of how this process plays out, So as I say, we'd be doing this in front of everybody, honoring them and what they've given us in the last 2.5 years. But there's a process here where we want to communicate with you about what's happening in the process of their lives. So in essence, and we just give it straight out, is that there's a church in the Fishhook area called Connections Church that Martyn and Roxy have known the leaders in that there for about 15 years already. And there's big, strong ties of relationships. And so as a reality, as the Bay City Church, we are saying goodbye to Martyn and Roxy. And now if we were sitting live in an audience, there would be this, oh, in the crowd. Because if we're honest, I think people have really grown to love you guys, and to, not just your gifting, but you're fairly nice people as well, I mean, part of things with us. And that, but, your heart has always been ministry. God has laid you up. There's a call on your lives to walk into this. And so maybe just, tell us a little bit of the story for you guys of arriving at the Bay. I mean, I know you've been on a journey with ministry, things were happening, but you felt led to come about 2.5 years ago to come, and was maybe 3 years ago actually when we chatted about stuff. But you felt led to come and spend a season with us. Maybe just build us up a little bit to that point, and then we'll speak more into depths of where and some of the journey that's happened with you in the last 2.5 years.
Oh, you want to start?
You go.
Are you sure? Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think back. Thanks, Sheldon, for giving us this opportunity to, obviously it's not the best to do it over Zoom, but it's still great to be able to, talk and just share a bit. It has, been quite an interesting journey over the last several years. I can't even think of when that journey really began. And it began sort of with us leaving the church we were leading, which was Church in the Hill in Simonstown. And from leaving there, we felt God saying that we still must be rooted in this community, this area. And we actually then moved to Connections Church for a season. I've just joined, fellowshipping there. And there was potential, chance of being more involved there, but the timing just wasn't the right time for where the church was at and a number of different things. And so we felt God, moving us on. But we also, I think at that stage, there was a bit of burnout, there was a bit of hurt, there was a bit of, there were so many things we had gone through. And so I had sort of built a bit of more of a relationship with Bay. And I just said to Roxy, let's just go and just come with us one Sunday. Let's just go to Bay And the moment we stepped foot in the door, because I don't think I'd actually been there for a Sunday gathering up until that point.
Yeah.
We walked in the door and we were just like, this is where we need to be right now. Yeah, and it's just been a blessing. I don't know if you want to.
Blessing, yeah. I think, like Martyn said, we weren't probably in the healthiest, most whole state, and it's been 2.5 years of receiving and being loved by the people. I think one of the reasons I wish most that we could do this in a normal Sunday service was just to honor the people of Bay, who have loved us so well and who have blessed us so well, and those relationships mean so much, and so thankful for them. So it's really, and also I think relationship, and the other thing which I'm so thankful to Bay for is experiencing the Spirit in the way I've experienced it on a Sunday morning at Bay. My personal background is very reformed background, and my soul, as I became more aware of things of the Spirit, my soul has longed and craved for what I've experienced at Bay, and it has been the most incredible, profound thing to have experienced the Spirit corporately in Bay, and then how that's affected my personal experiencing with the Spirit. So I am so thankful and so honored to have had that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome to hear that. I mean, and to ramp it up. The reality is, none of us are superhuman. Where we go through seasons, we go through things in our lives where we are just robust and it doesn't affect us. Ministry, the background of ministry can be challenging, and anyone that's walked in the road of ministry can understand the challenges, the taxing that it plays on your life and the emotional states that you find yourself in. And you know what? God knows that. God sees that. He's not afraid to the realities of our hearts. And I think you guys, trusted the leading of the Spirit. You say, like, you walked in the building and you just said, I think we need to be here for a season. I remember having that coffee with you at that Prima Piatti in the Muizenberg beachfront there. And I didn't say the words to you, but I just felt God saying, like, he needs to come and be with you guys. He needs to come and be with us and spend time. And then the next time we connected, you were like, I just think we need to come and spend time with you, because there's no manipulating here of like, hey, come be with us. It's all following your heart and trusting as the Lord's leading. And I've said these words to you. We've not ever scripted your story. We can't script people's story. God's written the book already for you, but it's for you to walk out. That proverb that speaks about, the Lord sets the course, but the man sets his course, but the Lord orders his steps. And the Lord ordered your steps to come and sit in the Bay for 2.5 years and to find restoration, find life, and to be encouraged again. And I think I've seen that in your lives. There's a buzz, there's a spark, there's an excitement, there's a joy. I mean, you produce God's story that's been a blessing to many people. Your gift has gone ahead of you and done great things, So God has done good within your lives in the last 2.5 years. But then this call's come, to go and be a part of another community. So now the choice is up to you whether you want to obey what God's saying. Is it God? And you can say, well, we're not ready, but I know in your hearts you're saying we need to be a part of that. And so just as we pause and hold on the season in the Bay, there were quite clear things that God spoke to you about in this season being there, and being with us at the Bay and stuff. Maybe just share some of those that you've expressed, of things that you just knew it was the right time, right season, and God has done a great work in your hearts.
Yeah, I think, like we were saying, thinking about this, for a long time, I think even leaving Church on the Hill and coming out of that role of full-time ministry, but then searching what is God saying for us for the next season, and God keeps saying, well, you're still in full-time ministry, and out of that, like you say, God's story was birthed, and I wouldn't have been able to produce that if God didn't give me the time, the scope of time to be able to, graft on something for about 2 years straight. That was all I did. And so, things like that. But I think, and so in the midst of that, you don't see things perfectly. You can't see, like, this is going to be this season and this is that season and this is, and you kind of don't know what, you're in a blur in some ways in terms of your journey, but you're just trusting God, taking step by step where you need to be. And I think, before we came to the Bay, when we already told, when people knew we were coming to the Bay, we said, that's where we're going. someone gave us a prophetic word actually, and then we were reminded of that this week. And they said in their word that God is taking you to the Bay to teach you things. And I think for us, the two things that have stood out has been, it's been a time of restoration and refreshing. And I think of that scripture, of repent, turn to the Lord, and times of refreshing will come. Just that refreshing in the spirit that we've experienced just for ourselves, and just healing, I think, is a process in that, even just healing in terms of pastoral ministry and what it means, the burden, like, and what you were saying earlier about what that means to carry people in your heart and pastor people. But I think also very strategically, it's been an incredibly strategic time in our lives. And, you can look back and you say, well, God, why didn't you just do this earlier? But that's not how God works. This time was so necessary. And I think there's things that we've learned at the Bay. I mean, I'm not talking about head knowledge, but really things, culture that's been established in us, values around things of, I think around things of the spirit, I think around things of honoring one another, I think around the rhythms of life in the spirit and the resting. There's been so many things that God has really sort of taught us, and he has to teach it to you. Someone can't tell it to you and say, this is how we do it. And then you sort of like, oh, that sounds good. And then you go and do it. It doesn't work that way. You need to be in it for 2.5 years to catch it. So I think, and I think also that the relationships have been incredibly strategic. And we trust that those relationships are actually going to maintain and continue into the future.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that is a key part of it. It is quite strategic. We've been on a journey as the Bay, of where we fit and what God's doing with us and all the things that he's called out as us as a community. And there's been a lot of waiting and trusting God, on to walk, because you can't push them. You can't force them. You've got to wait and trust the timing. And I think you guys have done that. You've waited the timing, but I do believe it is strategic. That you've connected with us so beautifully in these last 2.5 years. There's a real heart connection now, and you being positioned in another community is almost giving us a connection and a tie, and in a sense, in chatting with him the other day, a partnership of standing together, so that there's greater things that'll take place, down in the south of Cape Town, and what God continues to do in and through us, and just to say to people, this is not the end. We'll never see you again. I think this is something that's been cemented with us. I mean, the reality is, I think you're going to be preaching next Sunday, so you're in town still, bro, and it's hard, honestly. Well, it's hard to do it like this. This is not cool. We don't want to do it over Zoom. We would be, in front of you now praying and doing it in a real kind of relational way. But we've got to get the message out, because the wheels have got to turn in motion and get things going, and people understand it. But we will have a Sunday where we'll pray for you and honor you and do stuff. But I think it is strategic, and the key for me is you guys are willing to take the risk to obey the voice of God as he leads and guides you, because you could say, well, we're very comfortable here. Let's just leave it the way it is. I mean, things are great, but there's a call, and there's always a sending. And we do, honestly, from the Bay, we honor you guys. We have loved having you a part of us. Your giftings, your kind of genuine hearts for the ministry here have been so genuine. You actually slotted right in. It wasn't like it took a while you slotted right in, and it's a joy to hear of what you've experienced, of what you feel you carry now to a community of people who I'm sure are, to be a part of something, hungry to do what God wants to do in them, and we just want to honor you and thank you, for what you've done in place. As I say, it's not the end, but the community that you're going to be a part of, and building up a team there as they reposition themselves as a community strategically in that time and hour for them, I think is vital that you guys are part of that team, and to walk into that and be a part of it, So I don't know, Rox, if you want to add any more that's going through your heart and your mind there right now. We've built good friendships with you and that, but it's often, we joke about this, but the wife plays a key role in in moving on in the things of God, and we can joke, say you hold the key card, but you're doing it as a partnership, and obviously things in your heart, moving on to the next thing. There's a journey in that.
It totally is, and I think just trusting in this, firstly hearing the Spirit, hearing God for myself, and knowing this is of God, and it's not just Him, it's us. It's very much a team thing, and yeah, trusting God for the next season, and again, just to honor and to thank Bay, especially yourself and Kathleen and your whole eldership team. You have been such a blessing to us and played such an incredible role in our lives for the past 2.5 years, given us a real grounding, and which we're so incredibly thankful for.
Yeah, I think I want to just add to that. I mean, I think we just so grateful, to you guys, especially to you and Kathleen.
Yes.
And I think I said this to you when we had a coffee the one time, I think talking about this, I said, I don't, it's difficult to function and to be in a context if the leader that's leading isn't big enough. And I'm not meaning that you're physically bigger than me, Sheldon, but you are a few years. But if the leader isn't big enough, it's a very difficult space to be, because they crowd that space. It's actually funny how that is. A big leader doesn't crowd the space, but someone who feels inferior, feels uncertain. It's a difficult space to be, but we've never felt that. We've just felt so comfortable under your leadership because you carry such a big heart. And so we want to honor you and Kathleen for the hugeness of your hearts that you carry for the kingdom, which goes beyond yourselves. It's not about you. It's not about your ministry, making yourself look good or any of those things, which unfortunately in many contexts, that's what it's all about. But at the Bay, there's just this culture of it's God. He's what comes first. It's His kingdom. And I think the same for all the elders. I think all of the eldership couples, we've journeyed with each of them in different ways, and just been so incredibly blessed and impacted by each of them in their own way in terms of what they carry. And we just we want to honor all of you and just thank you for the impact you guys have had on us.
No, that's awesome. It's good to hear. And I think the reality is, like, the Bay has known to be a place where it's like a little oasis for a period and a season for people, and that's happened time and time and time again. So we have a releasing heart. That's we will, honestly, in my heart, never want to hold on to people. And it was like seeing the Steve and Diana Morris leave at the end of 2019. That was sad, but we can't hold on to people because they've got to walk into what God has ordered for them, and now they are flourishing in the UK, and it's the same for you guys. We'd love to hold on to you and say, no, well, I mean, I can't throw money at you, and I don't think that will keep you either, but that's the reality. But we can't hold on. So our hearts are very releasing to send you to go and do stuff, because I think God's got more in store for all of us, and what can play out in the future with us. So again, it's the walk by faith. We don't fully know what it all looks like going forward, but it's by faith that we walk these things. And I can just feel the Bay resonating behind this, saying, we charge you, we send you on, and we'll have a Sunday where we'll pray for you and kind of just cheer you on in that kind of way. So I just want to thank you for this time that we can sit together and chat. And it's really not the greatest and the best way to do it, but it is what we've learning to do and survive with it right now. And that, I don't know, any final parting comments before we kind of go? I know you're going to be preaching next Sunday anyway, but that's a good thing. And we're going to be hearing your voices through the 21 days of prayer and fasting. So it's a good sign you're moving on, but you're not leaving. That's the reality.
I think thank you. We honor you guys, and we're so thankful. And like you say, we're not going anywhere. We're still in the same geographical area. So it's a partnership, still a relationship going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I would just say thank you to all of the Bay folks. I think, I mean, obviously we don't know everyone in the Bay. It's a big church. It's always awkward because people sometimes know me because I preach, but then you don't always know all the people. But we've gotten to know so many of the folks, and I just thank you to the Bay Church. I think just the blessing we've experienced from the church, because it's not just, like I've mentioned the elders already, but it's not just the elders, it's every single person that contributes to that. And we still here, we're around the corner, and I echo what you say, Sheldon, and Ham has said the same thing when you guys spoke. We believe this is a partnership. We believe we're going to see you this side, we're going to see gifts moving around, we're going to see the kingdom being built for kingdom purposes. So we're excited about that.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic, eh? What a joy, eh? So all I'll say to you guys is upwards and onwards. And I know your hearts are to see the church come alive and to see people come alive in who they are in God. And you go and extend the kingdom in your patch, and we'll do our patch, and watch what God's going to continue to do in this area, this city, and the nation, and the nations of the world as we kind of stand together. So thank you. We bless you. We honor you. We love you. We're going to miss you, but it's all in God. So thumbs up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Thank you.